All right. Hey, good evening. This is Miss Silly. Welcome to Miss Silly Lessons Learned. I have a very special guest tonight. George Flores is actually one of my former students. So one of the first question I want to ask you, George, is can you tell everyone, like, how do you know me? And then what was I like as a teacher, like 20 years ago?
Okay. So, first of all, I just wanted to say that I was one of your students in your English class. And to be honest with you, you're one of the reasons why I went into education because you gave us that opportunity to connect with someone. You were always really pleasant. You were always encouraging us to do something more, to see ourselves as someone they can make a difference in children's life, just like you did. you know um, your encouragement, your words, those are things that I always keep to myself, and because of that, a good way to repay for everything that you did for us, it's for me to join education and to do the same for others.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, George, that like brings tears to my eyes because I can still see you, that tall, skinny kid. And it's funny because other kids, right, they're all rambunctious and they're all talkative. And you had like a quiet presence about you. You would like laugh at all the other kids, like your friends. And like, you always been, I felt like George, very mature. You like to joke around a lot, but you still had like a maturity about you. And like for me, what you just said, that connection with the students is so important in our jobs, right? George, can you please tell us about
Yes.
what is your job title and then what do you do on a daily basis?
Okay. So my job title, I'm a statewide trainer for the Department of Education in Arizona. And what I do, I basically do trainings for teachers. I do it for home providers. I do it for directors, and I either go to their side, or since everything that went on with COVID-19, we've been doing everything virtually. But it's really really good. I get to do my own schedule.
Wow.
I travel a lot. I get to meet a lot of new people. It's so flexible. I just love it.
Yeah.
But because of the whole COVID-19, we had to make modifications. And to be honest with you, and this is something I wanna really say it, because I don't think a lot of the students realize that just because we're virtual, we're not doing less work. We're doing a lot more. Heads off to you guys as teachers for doing a really great job this past year, creating all those lessons, getting ready, doing a lot of extra work to really teach these children.
Yeah, George, I'm glad you brought it up. Thank you so much for talking about actually, education and COVID. And you are absolutely right. Just because, we were virtual, that doesn't, didn't mean that we did less work, you know? And I think that's important for parents to hear because, like sometimes like, oh, you guys are virtual, you're not really learning anything. Even students themselves, they get into that mindset like, oh, it's not that serious, we're not learning anything. So I think it's all about like, the teachers and how they're able to connect with those kids, and you know what, George, yeah, we are learning something. Like, just because you think like you're not learning anything, doesn't mean we're not. So it's basically based on effort. George, and also go with like your job title. George, what skills is it needed to do your job? Like, do you have to be a good time manager, organizer, able to interact with people? Like, what skills do you need?
Okay. Yes, definitely. It's going to be a lot of interpersonal relationships. And this is where, it's a little funny because you just mentioned me when I was growing up and
Yes.
how I was quiet. And to be honest with you, to me, having interpersonal relationships is really hard. So it got me out of my comfort zone. I was always in education. I love being with children. I think, a lot of us that work with children, it's like a different total world. You're just with them and everything's so pure. But then when you're with adults, you're not yourself. And this job actually got me out of my comfort zone, and it made me starting making all those relationships. As far as what I needed to be prepared for this job, I was a teacher for a long time. I did uh, preschool, kinder, first,
Wow.
second, third. I had the opportunity to be a coach for one of the major programs here in Arizona. I also became a trainer for another program in Arizona. I've been teaching at the local community college for the past 5 years.
Wow.
And about 3 years ago, I just found this really fabulous love for training and to empower other teachers. And I just decided to go for it. And I've been really happy ever since. So it does require for you to get a little bit of pieces in education, always looking to more than anything enrich your community and empower the people that you work for, especially people in education sometimes don't see themselves as a major factor in children's education. And I think it's important for someone to let them know how crucial their job is.
Yeah, I love that. And one thing, George, that you have, like, one trait that you have that makes you a great trainer and teacher is the fact that you are a great observer and listener. Just like when you were a teenager, you watch, things going around you. As educator, it's so important for us to be a listener a lot of times, right? Even as a trainer, as an educator or trainer, you have to listen to the teachers, you have to listen to the students. So I think this job is actually perfect for you. George, can you tell everyone like what did you get your degree in and what college did you go to that you went to?
Mhm. So I started at AWC. I got my associates there. It was just in general education. Then I had the opportunity to go to Northern Arizona University, which is NAU, and that's where I gained my bachelor's in education, early childhood education, and I also got a master's in early childhood education with an emphasis on special education.
Wow, George, a master's. Oh my God, I'm so proud of you, right? George, did you ever think when, like go back to high school, right? Did you ever think that you were going to like even go to college or go to like, get your bachelor's and your master's? That was that even in your head? Did you even think about that?
You know what? No, I'm gonna be honest with you. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people just like me, we live a lot of adverse situations as we were growing up, and sometimes it's hard for us to visualize it and to see it, especially if you don't get the encouragement from your own family. uh, but thanks to people that make a difference in your life, such as yourself, we get that encouragement and we apply it. And it took a while before I realized that I wanted to be this. I always thought of teachers as like a great profession, and I wanted to be part of them, but I never joined until I had to change careers. I lost my first wife passed away, and when I was really young, I got married when I was 20. And when I was
Wow.
about 22, 23, my wife passed away in a car accident. And that's when I decided to go into education because I thought to myself, you know, there's only one way that I can be with my children all the time. If I have the same days, I work the same days as they go to school, if I get the same weekends off, if I get the same vacations as they do. So I went for it. I started my education, and like I said, I will never regret the fact that I joined education. And like I said, it's just a way to thank all of my teachers for all their efforts that they did.
Yeah, I think I think that's amazing, George. That you went through a tragedy, and and you like overcame, right? We have no choice. This what you just said, George, actually remind me of what Cesar Chavez, as you know, one of the greatest civil rights activists, right? Fighting for the farmers. He said, we draw our strength from the very despair in which we have been forced to live. We shall endure, right? Everything that
Mhm.
we go through life, no matter what it is, you have to like overcome that, and and pull like the strength within you. And I see that, from what you went through. And thank you so much for sharing that. I know our time is, brief, George, but one of the things I want to also ask is, what advice do you want to give young people in regards to like, college success, or just life in general? Okay, so what do you think? What can you say to these young people who don't even see themselves going forward, with school, or going to a career, a kid like you said, like look that looks like you and I, right? A minority student, a first generation student, us with our accent, people think, well, they have an accent and are educated, right? So the people that look like us, what advice do you have for those kids?
Okay. I'm glad that you mentioned about, the accent and all of that, because a lot of the times we understand the students better than anybody else. We know
Yes.
exactly the struggles that we had when we were growing up, and we want to make sure that we change that for them, that we facilitate, the skills and facilitate the work that it takes for them to obtain the right education. And then, of course, it's just a matter of encouragement. Somebody that will take the time of the day to encourage you to celebrate all those accomplishments, even if they are little accomplishments, you know, it makes the difference in people's lives.
Yes.
And, to be honest with you, I could have studied anything else and probably made a lot more money. But the statistics, how satisfying is this profession? It will never be um, different for me because I really enjoy this, and I think it's life is never about making so much money or having, the best this, the best that. I think it's more about having a balance in your life, having that opportunity to work in something that you are passionate about, because you can have a job, but if you don't like your job, it's going to get to the point that you're going to struggle to go to work. But if you love and are passionate about what you do, you never see it as a job. You never work a day in your life. And I
Yes.
think that's the most important thing for you guys, to find what you like, what you want to work on, and to really, really work towards that goal.
Yes. George, that's a perfect way to end our conversation, because I think that's, extremely important. Do what you love. Passion is the most important thing. Like, this is like I said, I had mentioned earlier, this is my 27th year into, education, but I still love it every day because of the kids. And, every time I want to quit, I think about that. Look, think about George, think about, that kid, that you have to reach, right? And, I really thank you for going into education. And I feel like at peace, George, knowing that you are doing such an amazing job, being a parent, but also being an educator, and also being a motivator and advocate for the community. So I thank you so much for being here. Anything else you want to say, George, before we go? Anything else? Where can they find
Yes.
you? Go ahead. Uh huh.
More than anything, I just wanted to thank you for giving me this opportunity to reconnect with you. It's been amazing just seeing you and talking to you. As far as me, if you guys are looking to get any trainings, even if it's not in Arizona, if somebody's hearing this and they want to potentially get some training, you can definitely reach out to me and look for Candelens. That's our new name, and we'd be more than glad to talk to you guys and develop something for them.
Yes. And George, if you can send me that information so I can just attach it to like the video as well. So, if
Ah,
you don't mind, of your company. Okay. So like, for those people who are in Arizona.
okay, definitely, yes.
All
Hmm.
right. So thank you so much, George, for being here. Everyone, please make sure you like, share, or subscribe. And I hope you enjoy. And once again, this is Miss Silly with Lessons Learned. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again.